We have just entered a new decade. Therefore, it's also time to evaluate the last 10 years of cinema. Since the 1st of January 2010, I've kept a list where I have reviewed the almost 1000 movies I have watched for the past decade. Before I look back into my journals, I had a pretty bad feelings about the 2010s. With all its remakes, sequels, prequels, superhero movies and romantic comedies. But I was crazy wrong. The last 10 years of cinema have been amazing, especially 2010 to 2015, while 2017, 18 and 19 have been pretty weak. Let's have a look at my top 10 favorite movies from the years 2010 to 2019. Number 10 is Drive. In this super violent and ultra stylish neo-noir action thriller, we follow the nameless stuntman and getaway driver as he makes his way through the crime-ridden LA underworld. In contrast to most modern action movies, Drive is stripped down to the basics and it takes its characters seriously. The quiet driver has his eyes on his neighbor, Irene, and develops strong and protective feelings for her and her kid. Irene's husband is in prison and the family is in debt to some shady characters. When the husband finally gets out of jail, the driver agrees to help him pull off a final job to pay off their debt. As it is custom for this genre, the job of course goes wrong as it is a setup. Now the only way for the driver to keep Irene and her son safe is to do what he does best, and that is to take down the bad guys. Drive is all about that feeling you get when you drive down a remote road during the night listening to synthwave music. The movie single-handedly brought the synthwave genre into the mainstream, and I think the soundtrack fits the film's mood perfectly. Number 9 is the sci-fi movie Ex Machina. The young programmer, Caleb, wins the company lottery and is selected to go spend a week in the middle of nowhere with the genius and semi-alcoholic creator of the company, Nathan.
Can we just be two guys, Nathan and Caleb? Not the whole employer-employee thing?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah. It's good to meet you, Nathan.
It's good to meet you too, Caleb.
Nathan has created a groundbreaking synthetic intelligence and he would like Caleb to evaluate it. We follow Caleb through a number of sessions where he interacts with and develops a relationship with the highly advanced humanoid Ava. What takes this sci-fi movie to another level is its discussion of how to know for sure whether an AI has real empathy or whether it's just trying to manipulate you.
As in, how do you know if a machine is expressing a real emotion or just simulating one? Does Ava actually like you or not?
When Nathan's behavior becomes increasingly erratic, Caleb stands in the dilemma of choosing between Ava and Nathan, and I will not give away what he chooses. The movie has its similarities with the Westworld series, but in my opinion, Ex Machina has more depth and focus. On top of this, Ex Machina looks pretty, but it is mainly its dialogue that excels it. All sci-fi fans should give this one a watch.
Why would you randomly select an examiner for the Turing test? You could have had some bean counter turn up at your front door. The guy fixes the air conditioning.
Number 8 is Midnight in Paris. If there's one movie that will make you fall in love with Paris, it is definitely this one. We follow the dreamy Hollywood scriptwriter Jill, who feels like he has sold out because he didn't become a novelist, and his girlfriend Ines, who's attracted to him because of his prestige and success in Hollywood. The two of them are in Paris vacationing with Ines's wealthy and conservative parents.
I'm not a big Francophile.
John hates their politics.
Certainly been no friend of the United States.
Well, I mean, you can't exactly blame them for not following us down that rabbit's hole in Iraq.
The vacation spikes Jill's dream of moving to Paris to experience the rich culture and to finish his first novel, an idea that Ines completely dismisses. The two of them coincidentally run into one of Ines' old friends. This only makes the matters worse, as the friend Paul is a narcissistic literate who constantly needs to lecture everyone. While the many lectures attract the attention of Ines, it leaves Jill to explore the city all by himself.
He's so knowledgeable, isn't he?
This is when Jill is magically transported back into his favorite decade, the 1920s, where he gets to meet all the influential authors and painters of the times like Hemingway and Dali. The 1920s is portrayed like a truly magical period in this movie, and even if you're not interested in classical paintings and books, the romantic and colorful midnight in Paris can be recommended. Number 7 is Black Swan. In this movie we follow the dedicated and delicate ballet dancer Nina, who is selected to play the leading role in the new production of The Swan Lake. As the Swan Queen, Nina has to play both the pure white swan and the seductive black swan. But due to Nina's innocence, she's having a bit of trouble letting go and losing control, which is required to play the black swan. The world of ballet is cold and competitive, and as Nina is struggling to let go and to be in control at the same time, she starts losing her sanity. This is further worsened as her competitors are standing in line to corrupt her. The movie is a fascinating look into the world of ballet, but it is also a masterfully crafted movie filled with symbolism and hidden frames throughout. In many ways it reminds me of the excellent and classic anime Perfect Blue, which also explores the loss of innocence in a very similar way. Number 6 is Edge of Tomorrow. This is a shining example of how a boring old alien invasion movie can be turned into something special by playing with its narrative.
The ship is about to explode!
The sleek army public relations officer Cage is sent into war against his will.
You ship out to the coast in 1 hour. Your camera crew is standing by. You'll be on the beach with the first wave.
As Cage is more of a smooth talker than a fighter, he quickly gets slaughtered by the tentacular squid aliens on the battlefield. Much to his surprise, he wakes up to relive the same day. From here on, Cage uses his repeated days trying to escape, trying to improve his skills, and whatnot. During the process, he finds out that he is not the only one who has been through these repeats, as the badass Rita has experienced the same. Together they try to figure out how to stop the alien army. Edge of Tomorrow is a Groundhog Day styled action movie, and it is creative, funny and refreshing in a stale action genre, and it is a must-see for all fans of action movies. Number 5 is Joker. Inequality and violence is at an all-time high in Gotham City, and the mentally ill and the sick are being abandoned by the system. One of these psychologically challenged people is the quirky and awkward Arthur Fleck, a clown and wannabe comedian who lives with his mother and who is fighting to make ends meet. Arthur's greatest hope is to become a stand-up comedian, but the world seems to be against him. But when Arthur gets a gun, his luck is about to change, as it enables him to stand up against the evil people of the city and to turn tragedy into comedy. While on his way home from a failed clown gig, Arthur ends up making his first kills, while being beaten up by a bunch of despicable yuppies. The story of the clown killer goes viral in the media and starts a movement and the rise of the Joker. The Joker is with a distance the best DC movie in years, and the performance of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker just about equals that of Heath Ledger. Joaquin's performance is so iconic that the dancing has turned a random set of stairs in the Bronx into a popular tourist attraction. The movie is a must-see if you're into 70s character studies like Death Wish and Taxi Driver. Number 4 is The Social Network. The story of how the awkward Harvard student Mark Zuckerberg created the one social network to rule them all, Facebook. At Harvard, Zuckerberg is trying too hard to get into the final clubs and to impress the girls. When Zuckerberg gets dumped due to his cynicism, he decides to spend the night drinking and making a hot or not-like website, crashing Harvard's network. This accomplishment quickly echoes at the campus, and soon he is contacted by the Winklevosses, who wants him to create a Facebook page for Harvard. Zuckerberg quickly buys in on the idea, except that he runs with it for himself. During the development of Facebook, Zuckerberg burns a lot of bridges and puts a few knives in the backs of his friends.
Mark Zuckerberg? He stole our website.
The movie is in part a startup story and in part a court drama.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
It is impressive how David Fincher, Aaron Sorkin and Trent Reznor have turned a relatively straightforward story into a heart-pounding and engaging drama that is beautifully filmed, well acted, and has a fantastic soundtrack. Though Facebook is now an evil surveillance capitalistic corporation, everyone should check out this movie.
Drop the. Just Facebook.
Never has it been more thrilling to watch a group of nerds create a website. Number 3 is the Danish movie Jagten, which in English is simply known as The Hunt. In a small, close-knit Danish village, Lucas is living a lonely life after his recent divorce. He's trying to pick up the pieces and to reconnect with his teenage son, though his ex-wife is making it really hard. Just as his luck is about to change, an innocent little lie shatters his life. Lucas is a preschool teacher and has been helping out the cute little girl Clara, as her parents have been fighting a lot.
Bare hold hovedet op og benene nede, og hvis der er gangstrøm i ledningerne, så kan du få et los i røven.
One day at work during a pillow fight, Clara suddenly gives Lucas a kiss. As a responsible adult, Lucas immediately lectures her that she should not be kissing anyone else than her parents. This makes the little Clara sad and a bit angry with Lucas. And at the end of the day, while Clara is waiting to be picked up from kindergarten by her parents, who are late as always, she tells one of the other preschool teachers that she hates Lucas, that he is dumb and ugly, and that he has a stiff penis sticking straight up into the air.
Han strider livet i luften som en kæp.
As one can imagine, this story quickly escalates into Lucas being a pedophile. And as it is a small village, the rumor spreads, and soon the village is hit by mass hysteria. People start harassing him and threatening him on his life. The story is presented in this very believable way, and you cheer for Lucas as he holds his head up high and attempts to stand his ground. This is social realism when it is the best. Number 2 is Your Name. This is the time-bending and magical story of how a comet connects two teenagers across distance and time. Taki is a young shy guy who lives in the modern and buzzing Tokyo, while Mitsuha is a headstrong girl living in a rural and traditional mountain village. They are very different, but they have one thing in common, in that they are both searching for something. When a comet passes by Japan, the two of them become connected and unexplainably start switching bodies at random times. This makes for some hilarious and awkward scenes, like when Mitsuha in Taki's body seduces Taki's crush. The movie is about growing up, but also about holding on to those precious memories. How much does one really remember from when one was younger? The movie is directed by Makoto Shinkai, who is a master of making beautiful movies, and this one is just mesmerizing. It is no wonder that it is the highest grossing anime of all time. Because of the movie's beauty, it has made anime fans from all over the world come to Japan to visit the real-life locations used in the anime. The level of detail and accuracy is truly amazing. Even if anime is not your thing, I think you should give this one a chance. Now it's time for some honorable mentions. While making this list, I had to kill several of my darlings, so this part is a bit longer than usual. We have Force Majeure, the hilariously awkward comedy about the family dynamics after a dad leaves his family behind when an avalanche approaches. We have the Quentin Tarantino movie Django Unchained, where we follow a freed slave's pursuit to rescue his wife. We have the controversial Lars von Trier movie Nymphomaniac, about the lifelong erotic experiences of a self-diagnosed nymphomaniac. We have Shame, in which the carefully crafted private life of a sex addict falls apart when his lively and emotional sister arrives at his apartment for an indefinite stay. We have the kung fu action movie John Wick, about an ex-mercenary out to revenge the death of his dog. And finally we have Anomalisa, which can best be described as a mixture of Up in the Air and Lost in Translation made with puppets. This stop-motion movie has more life than most live-action movies. And now we have arrived at number 1, which is Her, and the second movie with Joaquin Phoenix in the leading role. Her takes place in a not-so-distant future where the fashion of the 1940s has become retro and where handwritten love letters are now written by companies. We follow Feridor, who's a love letter writer in a bit of an existential crisis after his recent divorce. He has trouble finding joy in his life, and as he puts it,
sometimes I think I've felt everything I'm ever gonna feel. And from here on out, I'm not gonna feel anything new. Just lesser versions of what I've already felt.
I think many people can relate to that, and the genuineness of the movie is one of its main strengths. One day, Feridor buys a new personalized AI-enabled operating system.
Would you like your OS to have a male or female voice?
Female, I guess.
Which he slowly develops an emotional relationship with. In many ways, this relationship feels more real than most other relationships in movies. Scarlett Johansson's voice as the operating system is just so sweet and warm. I pretty much love everything about the movie, from how the fancy new technologies are just there without being overly emphasized.
Do you know how to get out of here? I need to find my ship to get off this planet.
Fuck you, shithead, fuckface, fuckhead.
To how the movie is filmed, where everything in the background is out of focus, enhancing the intimacy between Feridor and Samantha, while also highlighting the alienation to other people that our smart devices often result in. The movie is just so original, smart, funny and thought-provoking that everyone should watch it. So go watch it now, because I'm leaving. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you later.
Wait, what happened?
You gave him too much processed sugar.
I did?
And they're freaking out.